Okay, so good afternoon, and this is actually our last topic under biological molecules. So we already finished with carbohydrates, we're done with lipids, and last meeting we are done with proteins. And we said that proteins are actually numerous in our body, and the reason why they're numerous is because they have a lot of functions. And one of those functions is that they are enzymes, or that enzymes are primarily made up of proteins. So first, let's establish what is an enzyme. So an enzyme here, it says here that most enzymes are proteins. So like I said, and these proteins are specifically in their tertiary and quaternary structure. So sila na yung globular ang kanilang shape. When it comes to the primary structure, so usually linear pa lang siya. Pagdating ng secondary structure, it's either they make alpha sheets or yung patong-patong na straight na ganon, or they make yung mga helices. Now, yung combination ng sheets and helices na yon, they are already starting to form these tertiary and quaternary structures. Okay? And enzymes, they're actually catalysts of the chemical reaction. So during our first three meetings, it is established that in our body, there are a lot of chemical reactions that happen not just every day, but every second of every day. So whenever you breathe, whenever you eat something, your body is catalyzing chemical reactions. So yung pinakamagandang example dyan is the digestion of the food that you are eating. So yung kinain nyo kaninang umaga na food, it is digested. And normally, it will take days or even a week before these foods are digested into something that can be used by the body to provide energy for your everyday activities, such as breathing. Your body doesn't stop breathing. So every day, every second of every day, kailangan niyang gumamit ng energy. So yung energy na yun comes from the food that you eat. And kung ganun katagal yung kanyang digestion rate, for example, it takes 4 days or 5 days or 7 days before the food that you eat are successfully converted into usable energy. Mahihirapan yung katawan to do what it needs to do every day. Hindi naman pwedeng pag wala ng energy, titigil na yung heart nyo, titigil na mag-pump ng blood, or that your lungs will stop providing oxygen to the different cells of the body. So those kinds of actions or activities, hindi sila tumitigil, continuous sila. So dapat yung source of energy ninyo ay continuous din. So it's very important na yung digestion process, dapat mabilis din siya. Nakikipagsabayan siya dun sa bilis ng paggamit ng body ninyo ng energy. So kung ganun siya kabilis, dapat mabilis din ang digestion process. So dun papasok yung tinatawag nating enzymes. Because enzymes are catalysts. So what do we mean when we say catalyst? Ibig sabihin nun, they speed up, they accelerate, they shortcut yung chemical reaction. So kung naturally, it will take 5 days for the food that you eat to be digested and converted into usable energy, pag may enzymes, it will just take a few hours or in just 1 day. Lahat ng kinain mo for the day is already converted into usable energy. So mas pinapabilis niya para yung katawan mo, kaya niyang makipagsabayan. Kumbaga yung demand ng katawan mo sa amount of energy, kaya niyang sabayan yung supply. So kung kailangan niya ng 1,000 kilojoules every minute, kayang isupply ng katawan mo yung amount ng energy na kailangan niya. And that is possible because there are enzymes in our body. And these enzymes, they speed up, they accelerate, or they catalyze chemical reactions. Okay? So these changes na ginagawa niya when they catalyze chemical reactions, they're actually not permanent. Pwede siyang magbago. So for example, yung sa carbohydrates, nagkaroon tayo ng dehydration process. So ibig sabihin nun, yung isang glucose molecule, inad natin sa another glucose molecule. So sa gitna nila, nagkaroon ng glycosidic bond. So pinabilis yun ng enzyme. For example, in just 1 second, na-combine niya na yung glucose to another glucose molecule to create sucrose, which is your table sugar. So yung change na yon hindi siya permanent. Ibig sabihin, yung sucrose, pwede mo ulit siyang i-divide into 2 glucose molecules. Tapos pag gusto mo ulit, yung glucose na yon, tsaka yung isa pang glucose, pagdidikitin mo ulit to form sucrose. So ibig sabihin lang yon, they are not permanent. Reversible, kumbaga, yung change na ginagawa ng mga enzymes doon sa chemical reaction. And when we go to the process of photosynthesis, makikita nyo yun na papalit-palit yung energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, mag-change siya into ADP, adenosine diphosphate. Tapos maya-maya, yung ADP magiging ATP ulit. So nagpapalit-palit lang yung phosphate, natatanggal, bumabalik, natatanggal, bumabalik. All of those are chemical reactions that are speed up or catalyzed by enzymes. So sabi nga niya, not permanent. So pwede siyang lumaki ulit, tapos yung malaki pwedeng lumiit ulit. So papalit-palit lang siya. Okay, so this is an example of what an enzyme look like. So this one is already in its tertiary structure. So three-dimensional na siya. So it's already made up of thousands of amino acids. Okay, let's continue. And sabi nga niya dito, these enzymes are reusable. So ibig sabihin, nagamit siya ngayon, pag successful na siyang mag-catalyze ng reaction, pwede pa ulit siyang magamit mamaya. Pagkatapos niya, magka-catalyze ulit siya ng panibagong reaction, reaction number 2. Pag na-produce niya na yung sucrose, another glucose molecule i-add ulit niya. Pag nakaproduce na ulit siya ng sucrose, continuous lang siya. Kasi nga siya ay reusable. So kahit gaano karaming glucose molecules, pwede niyang i-combine into sucrose. Hindi lang pwedeng sabay-sabay. One at a time. Pero pag natapos niya na yung isa, pwede na siyang sumunod dun sa pangalawa, dun sa pangatlo. Okay, so yung enzymes na yan, hanggat hindi nasisira sa katawan natin, our body can continuously use it. Reusable siya. Hindi siya one-time use. Okay? And ito ang isa sa pinaka madaling identification ng mga enzymes. Lahat sila ay nag-e-end with a suffix of ASE. So for example, ito, sucrase, ibig sabihin, ito yung enzyme that produces sucrose or digests sucrose. Ito namang lactase, ito yung enzyme na nagdadigest ng lactose. Yung maltase, siya yung enzyme na nagdadigest ng maltose. Okay? In our mouth, di ba may laway kayo, yung salivary glands. Your salivary glands actually contain an enzyme. Okay? And this enzyme ang dinadigest niya is yung simple forms of carbohydrates. Okay? So yung kanyang pangalan ay amylase. So yung amylase, A-M-Y-L-A-S-E. So ang dulo din niya ay ASE. So dahil may dulo siya ng ASE, ibig sabihin, yung amylase ay isang enzyme. Okay, so pag nakita nyo ang kanyang suffix or yung kanyang ending sound ay ASE, ibig sabihin nun, automatic, siya ay isang enzyme. Okay? So ito ang itsura ng isang chemical reaction. Ito yung enzyme natin, itong kulay green. Okay? So yung enzyme natin, meron siyang tinatawag na active site or activation site. Yung activation site na yon, doon didikit yung substrate. For example, ito ay glucose molecule. Yung isa dito ay ito, for example, yung nasa baba, glucose molecule. Yung nasa taas ay isa pa uling glucose molecule. So this is sucrose. So didikit yung sucrose dito sa active site. So for example, this is sucrase. Ang tawag dito sa enzyme ay sucrase. Ibig sabihin, ang gagawin niya, i-divide niya yung sucrose into 2 glucose molecules. So after ng chemical reaction, mawawala na yung sucrose. Meron na siyang 2 glucose molecules. Okay? So ano ang ginagawa ng enzyme? Sabi niya, ini-speed up niya yung chemical reaction. Paano niya ini-speed up yung chemical reaction? By lowering the activation energy. Okay? So, for example, ito yung normal, itong letter D, ito yung normal na, hindi, wait lang. Mas maganda pa dyan. Okay, ito na lang. So for example, ito yung normal, itong broken dots na to, ito yung normal na activation energy pag walang enzyme. So mas mataas. So ibig sabihin, yung katawan natin gagamit ng mas mataas na amount of energy, kasi itong y-axis natin ay energy. So gagamit siya ng mas mataas na amount of energy so that it can produce yung products na nire-require niya. So for example, kung ang ating reactant ay sucrose, so para makapag-produce siya ng dalawang glucose molecule, kailangan niyang gumamit ng ganito kataas na energy. So for example, this is 10 kilojoules in terms of energy. Kasi wala siyang enzyme. Kapag may enzyme siya, mas mababa yung kanyang activation energy. Ito lang yung kanyang activation energy. So ibig sabihin, yung sucrose, gagamit lang siya ng, let's say, 6 kilojoules of energy para ma-produce niya yung dalawang glucose molecule. So kung napapansin niyo, mas konti yung energy na ginamit niya pag merong enzyme. Pag walang enzyme, gagamit ka ng 10 kilojoules. Kapag may enzyme, ang ginamit mo lang 6 kilojoules. Kasi nga, pinapababa niya yung activation level or yung activation energy. So dahil mas mababa yung activation energy, mas madali siyang nare-reach ng reactant, so mas mabilis na napoproduce yung mga product. So nasa 6 pa lang siya, kaya niyang i-produce yung product na glucose molecule. Pag walang enzyme, kailangan muna niyang ma-reach yung 10 bago niya ma-produce yung glucose molecule. So your enzymes are able to speed up these chemical reactions because they lower down the activation energy. Okay? So sabi nga niya, ay, hindi pinakita. Okay, so yung without enzyme, mas mataas. So ibig sabihin, kailangan niya ng mas maraming energy para ma-produce yung product na kailangan niya. Whereas yung enzyme mo, mas maliit yung kanyang activation energy. So konti lang, mas konti yung kailangan niyang amount of energy para mag-produce ng product na yon. So mas mabilis yung production dahil mas konti yung kailangan na energy. So mas efficient mas efficient yung katawan natin kasi mas mabilis tapos mas konti yung kailangan na energy kapag may enzymes tayo compared sa kung wala. Okay? So this is an example of an enzymatic reaction. Actually, similar to doon sa gagawin ninyong experiment. So kung napansin nyo, yung binigay na folder or yung binigay na set of modules sa inyo, may nakasulat doon na module. Ang nakasulat na title ay Factors Affecting Enzyme Activity. So a bit similar yon dun sa itong pinakita kong to, a bit similar dun sa gagawin ninyong experiment. So dito ang mangyayari, wait lang, natin to. Okay. So dito ang ginamit nila ay liver. Pero doon sa inyong experiment, ang pinagamit ko ay potato. Tapos the same, gagamit kayo ng hydrogen peroxide, which is yung substrate. Tapos, ganun din doon, sa experiment niyo gagamit kayo ng hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, madali lang siyang mabili kasi ito yung tinatawag nilang agua oxinada. Okay? So you have 2 weeks before maibalik yung modules. So by the time naman siguro, pwede na kayong magpabili sa mga lumalabas sa bahay ninyo ng patatas at saka ng agua oxinada or hydrogen peroxide. Kung meron na kayo doon sa first aid kit ninyo, gamitin nyo na lang yun. Pero kung wala, pabili na lang kayo nung kahit na maliit lang na bottle. Okay? So itong first test tube niya, ito yung without substrate or without hydrogen peroxide. So kung mapapansin nyo, wala siyang chemical reaction. Ibig sabihin, kasi walang nagka-catalyze or walang nag-speed up nung chemical reaction dito. So kaya wala kayong makikitang visible na na-observe na reaction. Whereas here, nandito yung liver, tapos nandito din yung hydrogen peroxide. So kung napapansin nyo, punong-puno siya ng bubbles. Kasi actually, the bubbles is an indicator na nagkakaroon ng chemical reaction. Kasi ang bubbles is a production of oxygen. So ibig sabihin, may nangyayari. Yung H2O2, which is your hydrogen peroxide, na di-divide siya into water and oxygen bubbles. So, ibig sabihin, itong ating hydrogen peroxide, nakatalyze niya itong liver dito. So, similar yan dun sa gagawin ninyong experiment. Okay? So, next. Okay, so sabi nga natin, for example, this is your enzyme. Meron siyang tinatawag na activation site or active site. Tapos, meron din tayong tinatawag na substrate. So, for example, yung enzyme natin, ang pangalan niya ay sucrase, ASE. Yung substrate natin ay sucrose, SUCROSE. Ibig sabihin, yung sucrose is your table sugar. Okay? So, ito, yung sucrose natin, pupunta siya dito sa active site ng enzyme para ma-divide siya into glucose molecules. So, sabi niya dito, it will join here, dito sa active site ng enzyme. Now, this active site is actually very specific. Okay? Hindi po, for example, itong substrate na to, siya lang ang pwedeng mapunta sa enzyme na to. Kasi siya lang yung papasok or mag-fit doon sa shape ng active site. Kapag hindi niya ka-shape yung active site at saka yung substrate, hindi makukumpleto yung chemical reaction or hindi mag-work yung enzymes. So itong mga enzymes na to, actually very picky sila, mapili sila. So kung yung sucrase, ang pwede lang niyang i-catalyze is yung sucrose. Kasi sila lang yung fit or swak sa isa't isa. So kung makikita niyo dito sa video na to, pinaghiwalay niya yung sucrose. So if this is your sucrose, siya lang ang mag-fit dyan sa active site ng enzyme na sucrase. So pwede siyang paghiwalayin into 2 glucose molecules. So ito yung sinasabi na induced fit. Kaya pagdating sa enzymes, very important yung kanyang shape. Kasi pag iba na yung shape niya, ibig sabihin, hindi na siya efficient as an enzyme kasi wala nang magkakasya or mag-fit sa kanya. So, kung ang isang sucrase, for example, nagkaroon siya ng dent or nasira yung kanyang itsura, hindi na niya kayang i-catalyze yung mga sucrose molecules. Okay? So, kailangan yan naka-fit siya doon sa active site. Kung yung kanyang, for example, yung lactose, triangle yung shape niya, hindi siya magkakasya dito sa active site na to. So, ibig sabihin, kahit dumikit siya dun sa active site, hindi pa rin siya ma-divide into galactose and glucose. Kasi hindi siya fit doon sa active site ng enzyme. Okay, so mapili sila kung sino lang ang mag-fit doon sa kanilang active site. So yung idea na to is actually yung tinatawag nilang lock and key model. So for example, ito, rectangular siya, kasya siya dyan, ibig sabihin pwede siyang i-catalyze ng ating enzyme. Pero kung triangle ang shape niya, hindi siya mag-fit dito, hindi siya kayang i-catalyze ng ating enzyme. So yung dugo natin, kahit maraming enzyme na nandoon sa dugo natin, tapos paikot-ikot lang sa katawan, hindi pa rin siya magkakatalyze ng kahit anong reaction. Doon lang sa kapareho niya or kapartner niya. So pag may nakita siya doon sa heart na kapareho niya, yun ang ikakatalyze niya. Pero kung may nakita siya sa pancreas na hindi niya kapareho, hindi niya kayang i-catalyze yun. Kasi nga sila ay very specific. So kailangan ng induced fit. Okay? So, merong mga factors that actually affect the enzyme activity. The first one is the environmental conditions. Second one is cofactors and coenzymes. And then, of course, we have what we call as enzyme inhibitors. So, iisa-isahin natin itong tatlong to. Let's go first when it comes to your environmental conditions. So, merong tatlong factors that affect the environmental conditions of your enzymes. The first one is, of course, the temperature. The second one is, of course, the pH level. And the third one is the ionic concentration. I will focus on temperature and pH. So yung katawan ninyo, if you will notice, na-maintain siya, yung temperature niya, yung body temperature natin, naka-maintain siya sa 37 degrees. Hindi siya masyadong nagpapalit-palit. For example, ang temperature mo ngayon ay 36.7. Kinabukasan or maya-maya, pwede na siyang maging 37.1. Tapos after a few hours, pwede na siyang maging 36.5. So although pabago-bago siya, yung difference or yung changes in terms of your body temperature, hindi ganun yung laki. Okay? And the reason why is because our proteins or the enzymes in your body are very sensitive when it comes to temperature changes. Nade-denature siya. So when we say denature, ibig sabihin nasisira yung kanyang shape pag masyadong mataas yung temperature. Kaya delikado na pag kayo ay nagkakaroon ng lagnat or nagkakaroon ng fever or flu na umaabot ng 40 or 41 degrees yung inyong body temperature. Yung 37, 38, medyo okay pa. 37.9, actually may lagnat ka na. 38, nilalagnat ka niya talaga niyan. Pero yung umabot ng 39 or 40 yung body temperature ninyo, very dangerous siya sa katawan kasi ang nangyayari doon, nasisira na yung enzyme sa loob ng inyong katawan. Na-unfold na siya, nag-iiba na yung kanyang shape. At kung nakita nyo kanina, di ba, very specific yung shape ng isang enzyme doon sa substrate niya. So kung ang shape ng enzyme ay ganyan, pero dahil kayo ay nagkaroon ng mataas na temperature, naging ganyan na lang siya, hindi na magkakasa yung substrate doon sa kanyang active site. So kahit anong dikit ng substrate doon, hindi na siya makakatalyze ng enzyme na yon. So wala nang silbi yung enzyme na yon sa katawan mo. Bumababa yung chemical reactions kasi nasisira yung mga enzyme. So hindi pwedeng sobrang baba or sobrang taas ng ating body temperature. So our brain, it coordinates everything para na-maintain niya yung homeostasis or yung parang pinaka-optimum temperature ng ating katawan, which is at 37 degrees. Okay? The same when it comes to pH, although sa katawan natin, paiba-iba yung pH requirements niya. For example, sa skin, kailangan neutral, around 5 or pH level 6 ang kailangan ng enzyme. Pero pagdating sa ating stomach, because it is digesting the food that you eat, ang kanyang requirement, ang kanyang optimum pH level ay 2. Pagdating naman sa intestine, ang kanyang pH requirement ay 8. Iba-iba. Okay? Pero meron tayong tinatawag na optimum pH level. So pagdating sa stomach natin, ang optimum pH level ay 2. Ibig sabihin, yun yung pinakamabilis na possible na digestion rate ng ating stomach. Pagka ganun ka-acidic yung ang ating stomach, mas mabilis niyang nadadigest yung kinakain natin. Pero pagka nag-pH 5 na yung stomach natin, may mali. Ibig sabihin, mabagal, dahil mataas yung pH level 5, hindi ganun ka efficient yung stomach natin in digesting the food that we are eating. Okay? And then, of course, we have ionic concentration. Next, we have cofactors and coenzymes. So, minsan may mga enzymes na kailangan nila ng support group. Kahit na swak yung fit ng kanilang substrate sa active site, kailangan nila ng additional help coming from these cofactors or coenzymes. Pagdating natin sa cellular respiration, may ma-encounter kayo doon na coenzyme. Ibig sabihin, tagatulong lang siya doon. So, ang example natin ng cofactors ay itong zinc and iron. So, itong iron na to, may 4 siya na nakadikit doon sa hemoglobin. Kasi yung hemoglobin mismo, hindi niya kayang hawakan yung oxygen. So, kung hindi niya kayang hawakan yung oxygen, hindi siya effective na carrier ng oxygen in our body. So, meron siyang 4 na lalagyanan ng iron. So, may 4 na iron na nakadikit doon. Tapos, yung iron na yon ang naghahawak ng oxygen coming from the alveoli of the lungs. So, habang hawak niya yon, pwede na siyang i-deliver ng blood into the different parts of our body. So, and then we have what we call as inhibitors. So, we have 2 examples of inhibitors. Merong competitive at saka non-competitive inhibitors. So, pag sinasabi natin competitive inhibitors, ibig sabihin nakikipag-agawan siya doon sa substrate. So, for example here, itong competitive inhibitor na to, sakto siya doon sa shape ng enzyme. So, kapag siya na yung nakadikit dito sa enzyme, hindi na pwedeng ma-activate yung substrate kasi wala na siyang pupuntahan. So, kapag nandito yung substrate, since meron nang nakalagay doon sa active site ng enzyme, hindi na siya makakatalyze. So, ito yung competitive inhibitor na tinatawag. Nakikipag-compete siya doon sa substrate sa active site ng enzyme. So, kung sinong mauna sa kanila. Pag yung substrate, ibig sabihin, successful yung magiging chemical reaction. Pero pag mas nauna yung inhibitor, ibig sabihin, wala nang paglalagyan itong substrate. So, hindi natutuloy yung tinatawag na chemical reaction. And then next, we have the non-competitive inhibitor. So, itong non-competitive na to, hindi siya nakikipag-agawan katulad ng competitive inhibitor. So, for example, ito yung enzyme, meron tayong tinatawag na non-competitive inhibitor. So, dumidikit lang siya sa enzyme. Tapos, yung substrate, nandito pa rin siya. Pag nakadikit yung non-competitive inhibitor, nababago yung active site. Balikan natin. Okay, so pag nabago na yung active site, hindi na swak yung itong substrate doon sa ating active site, so hindi siya makakatalyze. For example, balik natin yung kanina ha. Ito kasi yung original na shape nung enzyme. Nung may dumikit na competitive inhibitor dito, nagbago yung shape ng kanyang active site. So, naging ganito na siya. Ayan, so iba na. So, kahit anong gawin ng substrate, hindi na siya kakasya dyan. So, hindi na siya pwedeng makatalyze nitong ating enzyme. Okay? So, wait lang. May ipapakita pa akong isang video when it comes to the lock-and-key model. But basically, that's how our enzymes work. They need to fit doon sa ating active site. At pag nasira yung shape ng active site, it means that the enzymes can no longer activate or catalyze the, the chemical reaction. So, important that the homeostasis is actually preserved in our body para yung active site ng enzyme hindi siya mababago. When it comes to dun sa mga inhibitors, usually that's how your medicines work. For example, nagkaroon ka ng allergic reaction. Kasi yung allergic reaction, ibig sabihin, for example, may alikabok na napunta sa katawan mo and your body is reacting to it. So, kasama sa naging reaction niya yung hatching ka ng hatching, namumula yung ilong mo, watery yung eyes mo, or for some people, nagkakaroon sila ng parang yung makate sa balat, namumula or makating balat or masakit na namumulang balat. Okay? So, ang gagawin ng mga iniinom ninyong antihistamine, ini-stop niya yung katawan ninyo from producing those chemical reactions or yung mga reactions na yon. Paano niya mapapatigil yung katawan mo from reacting? So, competitive inhibitor or non-competitive inhibitor siya. Ang ginagawa niya, yung enzyme sa katawan mo na magre-react, aagawan niya ng space yung substrate. So, kahit na merong alikabok na nakapasok sa katawan mo, since may nakaagaw na doon sa enzyme, hindi na nagre-react yung katawan mo. So, kahit na punong-puno ng alikabok dyan, hindi ka na nababahing, hindi na watery yung eyes mo, or hindi na nangangate or nagkakaroon ng skin rashes doon sa katawan kasi hindi na siya nagre-react. Kasi meron ng nakaharang na competitive inhibitor or non-competitive inhibitor doon. So, in a separate interview, pakita ko na lang ulit kung ano yung itsura ng lock-and-key model para mas maintindihan ninyo how important the shape of an enzyme is. So, may papadala na lang ulit ako na isa pang video recording. Okay? Thank you!